What is up, YouTube? This is your girl, Ash. I wanted to get on because I wanted to talk about mental health. It's a subject that, especially in the black community, we don't often like to admit, nor do we often like to talk about. We also can have this sense of shame and sense of, excuse me, I'm tired. Whew, Lord have mercy. Mm. We have this sense of that it's a subject we should avoid. And I don't feel that it is a subject we should avoid. It's something that's very strong within our community. It's something that is very, you know, dominant right now, especially after with everything that's been done with COVID. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my story as well. You know, I'm not ashamed. I was, but I'm not. You know, it is what it is. Um, for Okay, let me just go back a little bit. So, mental health, let's go ahead and dive a little deeper there. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important in every stage from childhood and adolescence to adulthood. Now, there are some main types of mental health that sometimes we don't often like to admit or talk about, and these are those: mood disorders such as depression or bipolar disorder, anxiety disorder, personality disorders, psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia, eating disorders, trauma related disorders such as a post traumatic stress disorder, and substance abuse disorder. Now, here's my truth in mentioning those. I suffer from severe depression. I suffer from anxiety disorder. And I suffer from post traumatic stress disorder. That is my truth. I'm not afraid to admit it. Part of those have increased since my mom passed. Part of those were onset from when my sister was murdered, which that's in another video. You can go back and watch that. And then it came from the fact that I had two other family members murdered, my uncle and my cousin. Sorry, I'm so sorry. But hey, that's what it is. Life. I don't sleep well. Um, with as much loss as I have had, and it's not even just loss that brought those on, but they did not help with those conditions, and that's that's something that can happen to my understanding anybody really. Um, we all go through things. I have two family members, one who is deceased, and a cousin who suffers from schizophrenia, and I don't see them any other way. I don't see them any different. I even went to school with someone that suffered from schizophrenia and didn't want to tell anybody. And it was us all speaking our truth. We have to learn how to accept and to know our truths, and then people that are around us have to be willing to understand what our truths are, be able to understand what we are going through. You know what I mean? What we go through on a regular basis. Where it is. You have to know the signs, right? And the best way to know the signs is to pay attention. Of course, do your own research. The signs I'm going to tell you to look out for is, it could be helpful, okay? Whether it be for yourself or someone else. And those signs are excessive paranoia, worry or anxiety, long-lasting sadness or irritability, extreme changes in moods, social withdrawal, and dramatic changes in eating or sleeping pattern. I.e., I said I don't sleep well. Social withdrawal, I have a little bit of that, and here it is. I don't call a lot of people. I don't want a lot of company. I don't want to deal with a lot of people, and that's been since really my mom passed. Like, I have just been in this mindset of, I don't know if it's really me worrying if I'm gonna lose other people. I think it is more me now adjusting to a new form of life, adjusting to a new form of normal, a new part of me that I didn't know even existed, and I have to now adjust to that particular side now. That side that and now is motherless. Yes, I have people that I consider motherly spirits to me, but you only get one mother, and after taking so much loss, this was literally my final straw. And it has placed me in a spot where I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I I I do good I clean my house. I felt good yesterday. I cleaned my office. I felt so good doing that yesterday. So it's baby steps, but I don't have a lot of calls coming to me to say, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need to talk? Hey, let's do something or whatever." Especially from family, it's in some of those is friends. I understand everybody has their own lives and everybody deals with grief differently, and I don't expect anybody to stop what their lives are to tend to me or nothing like that. I really don't want none of that because, like I said, I don't want company. But it'd be nice if I felt like somebody gave a fuck. And I speak for everybody that has lost anybody. It's like once you close that casket or have had to cremate that body, everybody else's world keeps going. I'm not saying mine has stopped, but it'd be nice if I can count how many times my phone will ring from family members or friends, to be honest. And they'll, reach out to me on Facebook, or if I post something, they react to it. But hey, call me, And I was reading about a guy earlier today. He not earlier today, but I read about it earlier today. But he actually, I think he did this on the 5th, where he was battling some things mentally, and he killed himself. First, he killed his baby mama. Then he killed himself. He kept telling somebody, "Hey, come get my son. Come get my son." He was not going to do it to his son. I'm grateful for that part. But I felt numerous things, and reading that, I felt that maybe he should have gotten help, or maybe there was no help available. Maybe the help that he wanted was not available to him, or it was the just the going through of everything, and him being he said it was because he was a man, and people don't often want to think that men can go through things. I feel like everybody can go through something. It just has to be somebody to really give a fuck about you going through it, to be there to help you. I've had one person I've been actually steady talking to regularly, crying to regularly, because my moods fluctuate, and that's what I was talking about, is extreme mood changes. Like I never know what my mood is going to be. I could be at work, somebody could easily say something to me, and it just flips me off. And everything really now, I won't say necessarily makes me upset, but it does. It can put me in a place, and I've never known this particular place before. And then it's crazy. Just thinking about it, I've sat with two of the most important people's lives, two of the most important people in my life, as they were dying. And then after they had officially died, just sitting there because I couldn't let go of their bodies. And that's my grandma and my mom. To sit with people that you love and watch them go. My grandma felt like she didn't want me to to see her numbers drop as they were dropping. She waited till I exactly turned my head, and then she went. And oh my God, when everybody looked at me and I looked at her, and the nurse came in and said, "Oh, she's gone," I looked back at her again, and I just lost it. I remember everything in me going black. And after that was a blur. I know I was crying a lot, and I know after we sat with my grandma's body for nearly 2 hours because we couldn't let go. Me, my sister, my mom, and all of our partners were there with us. While when we finally did decide to leave, they were there, and we just couldn't walk away. We couldn't. It was like it was still it was weird. It was like we had to, and then in me, I had to get this moment where I'm like, okay. I remember rubbing her foot, and I said, "This isn't goodbye. This is see you later, alligator." And I remember grabbing my mom and my sister's hands, and our partner's walking behind us. And I'm like, we gotta go. And my mom was holding onto the bed like so tight. She was, oh my God, she was just hanging onto it. And she about pulled my grandma's bed out the door with her, but she let go. I said, Mom, we gotta go. They have to come. We have to go. And we walked out hand in hand. I was in the middle of them. And we walked out that room and down that hall. And it was like this, it felt like a cover or a shield that was just over me. I just couldn't react. I felt both of them on the sides of me crying, and especially my mom. And I didn't really have a reaction right then and there. I just knew that I needed to get them, especially I needed to get my mom out of there. Because if I hadn't, she would have wanted to stay in there with her mama for a very long time. I'm like, Mama, we gotta go. We're gonna be all right. We gotta go. So to do that and then get to the point where I had to do it again, but for my own mom, my mom now. But this time I had to do it with my sister. And we were in there up until she officially passed. And it was crazy because she didn't even go quickly. Like, she went and she gradually, I think I didn't go into the story already. She gradually went, and then she got to the point where when my sister wasn't in there, I was texting her and everything, like, hey, get back. And she went from her numbers going down to then going back up to normal, waiting on my sister. And as soon as my sister got there, it's like my mama knew. And she let her numbers go down. And it's like our hearts, I think I felt my sister, we were in connection right then. Our hearts just dropped right with hers. And we lost it. We absolutely lost it. And my uncle, he was there, and our partners again were there with us, and we were just like, we were no good. It was nobody in that room that would be any good. It was crazy because for about a quick 5 to 10 maybe seconds, she came back, like, after being gone, almost as if to say, y'all losing it, but I'm gonna see you again. I love you. I love you. And I don't know, I didn't stay as long after she passed. I mean, we were maybe there 45 minutes to an hour after. But it was like, I felt different. I felt like this load off my shoulders. And here's why I say that. I say that because when my mom was here, she had knee problems. She had just had ankle surgery in 2020. Achilles surgery in 2020. And she had shoulder surgery in 2019. And she had just had a filter put into her artery after having a PE in 2018. So I felt like she deserved to have a choice. And I gave her that option. I wasn't pulling no plugs or anything, but I gave her that option. I said, Mom, I know you're tired. I know you're tired. And then they were like, well, if something happens, do you want us to resuscitate? And my mind was like, if I resuscitate, she comes back to those same pains and feelings that she went to before, what she was going through before. And I can't do that to her. So if she decides to go, you let her go. And oh my God, that took a lot out of me. That took a lot out of me. But when she officially passed, like I said, I lost it because I didn't want to let go. And I kept holding her hand. I kept kissing her forehead. I kept telling her, I told her this is just a long distance relationship. But that I will see you again. And like I said in another video, I told her, I said, you know, when I see you, I'm running to my mom. But when she went, she was so peaceful. And the load that I said that was off my shoulders was like, I had not seen her look that peaceful in the last 10 years. 9 years. From when we lost my sister in 2011 to her losing her two best friends like a year apart from each other. Or no, not a year, like 3 years apart from each other. To then her losing her brother and her losing her mother. And she had been through so much. She needed her rest, and that load that came off my shoulders was I helped her to get that rest. But not by not forcing her to stay here, to be here, even though selfishly even though selfishly I want her here with me. But I couldn't do that to her. I couldn't do that to her. So after she passed, I held my sister's hand again. And I grabbed her by her head. I told her, we're going to be okay. It's going to hurt like hell, but we're going to be okay. And we again walked out that room. The same floor that my grandma passed on. Literally right across the hallway. You go around, and if they were still there, you literally go across. And it just... Whew. But, yeah. It was a load off my shoulders because I knew she was no longer hurting. I knew she no longer had pain, and she was taking, oh my gosh, she was taking countless medication beforehand, and I knew that I needed to help her. Not help her, let me not say help her. Allow her to make that choice. And if she would have kept fighting after, then I would have, yes, kept fighting. But I gave her that option of if she wanted to stop, she could stop. And everything that I had dealt with leading up to that moment, and then even after, you know, her funeral and everything, it did not help mentally. And I know everybody has a different way of grieving. I understand that. But for some people, when the casket closes, that's not it. It's a different type of healing for me. And I definitely, I feel different. I feel more vulnerable, more weak. Because yes, it's more than just her passing. It's what she meant to me for 35 years. I'm 36 now. But she passed before my 36th birthday, so I could say 35 years. Is what she meant to my sister for 20 years. It's what she meant in that moment, and leading up to that moment, and still having that I'm your mother and I love you moment. You know, that return that she had was an I love you moment. And that's the biggest loss not the biggest loss, but that was more than I thought I could handle. And then having to bury her, and I'm so grateful for the donations that came through, and I'm so grateful for people that did reach out and, hey, if you need anything, you can call me. But they do all that while you're going through the funeral process, and then once the casket closes, the calls stop, the messages stop, the company stops, all not company, but the wanting to be there stops, and it shouldn't. That wanting to be supportive stops, and it shouldn't. And I can't blame anybody. I'm not mad. I know everybody has to have their own lives, but at some point, I mean, damn, like, people like me, I'm not even just saying for me, I'm saying for anybody that has lost anybody or going through something mentally, we are not all okay. And you gotta want to check on that. And the guy that took his own life and his girlfriend, I feel so much for him, because he was going through something, and he might have needed that help. He might have needed that love. He might have needed something a little deeper, and nobody thought to do so. Nobody thought to react to it. Nobody thought to help him for that. Nobody thought that he needed that extra help. You know what I mean? And it's I'm not saying I'm gonna do nothing like that. I wouldn't dare. I have me and my dog. My dog is very helpful, and I know people that I can call. But sometimes you don't want to have to make those calls. Sometimes you just want people to call you. And they don't. And that's okay. And anybody watching this that is going through any type of mental health issues, number one, we're supposed to talk about our feelings. So that's what I'm doing this for. I'm doing this to speak my truth. I'm suffering from mental illnesses. I have my moments, but I can admit and speak my truth. I can admit that I'm not okay all the time, and some days I am. Some days I'm more tolerant. But it's okay for us to have that. And when people get to this, get out of this mindset where you feel like people can't have a weak moment, where you feel like, oh, mental health is just in your head, it's nothing. No, that's not the case. It's something. It's fucking something. And when you stop ignoring the truth of it, we can handle it better. You saying it's on your head or ignore it is forcing someone to ignore their feelings and then result to other matters, such as suicide. Such as taking the lives of other people. Mental illness is a real thing, and when we stop ignoring and pretending like it doesn't exist, we'll get somewhere. We have to stop pretending that it's just, oh, it's all in your head. It's nothing. You don't, and stop telling people to not talk about those that are deceased. I'm going to talk about my mama. I'm going to talk about my sister. I'm going to talk about my grandma. These are people that, whether I helped raise, like my sisters, I helped my mom to raise them. My grandma and my mom raised me. Yes, I had other people, but primarily I saw them day in and day out, 24/7. Might have seen one earlier in the day, was with the other one later on that night, or at sometimes both. So if it means that I need to talk about them until I'm blue in the face, then I will. But that's me helping myself get past what I'm feeling. That's me helping myself get through my heartache, my pain, sitting with those women who in my mind could take and do anything. Beat anything. But the one thing they could not beat, like anybody else, like myself, is death. And that is a hard pill to swallow. I sat with my grandma for 3 days as she was passing. I sat with my mom for 8 days as she was passing. Gradually, every single day. Some days it was okay. She got okay. And then it's like mid to end that like last final, like 2 weeks before the end, 2 weeks before September 1st, things just went downhill. So as soon as we get to the point where we can stop avoiding mental health, stop saying, oh, it's okay, and stop wanting to immediately just get on medication, we will be all right. We have to accept that this is a truth in our society, especially people that have dealt with COVID. Some people have lost so many people to this virus, whether vaccinated or not. And we have not gotten to the point where we can understand where they are, because we feel our own perspectives. We feel, oh, they shouldn't be feeling like this, and the other. They should have been vaccinated. And again, I just said people that are vaccinated are passing away. And people that aren't are passing away. We have to get to this mindset. We're just not. We're desensitized. We're. Am I saying that right? Am I saying that right? I'll just say it a different way. We're not sensitive to each other's needs. We're not sensitive to each other's feelings. Humanity has become so cold and heartless, and it's not fair to do so. It's not fair to do so. It's not fair to be so cold, be so whatever. I need to retwist my hair, like, for real. And I haven't felt like it. I do good to just wash my ass, and I maybe eat once a day. And there are people that are like me that are probably worse. Care about them. Give a fuck, people. Damn, it's not that damn hard to pick up the phone sometimes and say, hey, are you okay? Come hang out with me some days. Let's go out to eat. Let's go to the park. Well, it's cold to go to the park, but you know what I mean. Like, give a fuck about people like myself, because we are battling something that you can't see. I can't count how many times I just sat in my house in the dark and just sat here in my bed in the dark, sitting up 4, 5, 7, 8, and just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay up. Sleep all night for me is very rare, or it can only happen when drunk, and I don't want to only be drunk to be able to sleep all night. That's not for me. So this is just a video talking about mental illness, talking about maybe caring people. Come on, just care a little bit. And instead of saying, oh, that person should have sought help, they should have did this, they should have did that, how about you change it so it don't happen again? How about you change it so it don't keep happening? What can trigger mental illness? Childhood abuse, trauma, or neglect, social isolation or loneliness, experiencing discrimination and stigma, including racism, social disadvantage, poverty or debt, bereavement, losing someone close to you, severe or long-term stress, having a long-term physical health condition. Those can be some triggers. And, sometimes, triggers are not beneficial, let's just say that. But so if you take anything out of this, know that, for one, it's okay to admit your mental health issues. Talk to someone willing to listen. If you are someone who does not have mental illnesses, good for you. But talk to someone that does. Be there for someone that does. Understand the triggers. If it's something you don't know about, like PTSD, bipolar, any of those, then look them up, study them, research them, be of some help so that you know how to handle a person that is going through those situations, going through that feeling. Know that person is still the same person to an extent, but whatever they went through that was drastic for them has changed them. It may not be drastic for you, but right now they have changed. And your only job is, if you love them, you care about them, you respect them, just be there for them. It can impact day-to-day living. mental illness. So whatever they used to like to do, they may not do anymore. It can impact their sexual feeling. It can impact their whatever joy they used to have in certain things can be impacted. They'll never be that same person, but they could be a new person. And that new person will need your help with life. That's it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the next video that I put out. I'm actually going to put some information below, for those that may know someone who needs assistance or want to prevent suicides at all costs. So I'm going to put some information below for that. And you all be safe, be easy, take care, peace.